Welcome to the new Cyber Frontier, bringing you the latest news and initiatives that focus on the development of cybersecurity economics. You don't have to be a computer or cybersecurity expert to get plugged in. Your host brings it straightforward, asks the tough questions, and brings the cyber world to a level of understanding for everyone. You can find us on the web at www.newcyberfrontier.com. Now join our host as he introduces the topic for today's New Cyber Frontier.
Welcome to today's episode of New Cyber Frontier. Again, here face-to-face, sitting with Dr. Shawn Murray, and we're going to have a little discussion on a program with ISSA International. But Dr. Murray had some great things that he started talking about. I was like, no, let's record this. This is something
Absolutely.
I want to get out and know about, so I'm going to quiz you, and we'll go kind of just tit for tat and see where this goes. But tell us about where you're going with the program here under ISSA and what the thought process is.
So, just quick for our audience, just a reminder, ISSA is an acronym for the Information Systems Security Association, an international private, nonprofit membership organization for our industry. And we say information security because it really is about information security. We use the term, rebranded cybersecurity because it sounds more sexy and sells more things, right? But this is the 40th year that ISSA has actually been in existence. And as the immediate past president, I actually had spent about 8 years on the board. First as a director and then as the chief operations officer. And, I've seen things evolve and what a dynamic board we've had over the years, and lots of great ideas coming from our chapters because we're a global organization. We have chapters all over the world. And, one of the biggest challenges that came along a couple years ago was, this global pandemic, right? And so, one of the things people ask is, how is ISSA relevant in our industry when there's so many other organizations like ISSA and ISC2 and AFCEA and all these other organizations? Well, there are things that we have helped set into play. ISC2 is actually a spin-off of ISSA. We didn't want to be in the certification realm. So ISC2, or formerly known as ISC Square, is a child of ISSA. A lot of people don't know that.
What does that stand for?
The International Consortium.
Certification.
I can't remember the whole thing.
Security
Consortium.
Certification Consortium.
And we just know that the two things is ISC Square, now ISC2, and CISSP. That's what everybody remembers, right? But another great organization. They have their own chapters as well. We have a chapter here in our local community, the Pikes Peak chapter of the ISC2. I'm a member at large, helped establish and found that board. But what sets ISSA apart from these other organizations that primarily do certifications as well as other things? Well, one of the things we came up with, there's various special interest groups at ISSA International. So we have one for privacy, thousands of members. We have one specifically for resiliency. I was interacting with our committee lead for a resiliency special interest group, and he lives in Prague. We were doing that this morning, yesterday, and today. We're looking at some different things and how resiliency applies to technology in our lives for that level of technology or rigor. And then there's a specific committee that I helped establish during the pandemic, referred to as AIM. AIM is an acronym for apprenticeships, internships, and mentorships. And what we saw during the pandemic was we saw two big things. One is the Great Resignation. Globally, one third of the workforce just retired or just, dropped off the face of the earth or just decided to stay home with the kids. And so a lot of people moved up to fill those vacancies, and then that left a gap at the lower end in students wanting to transition. And so a lot of focus was spent on upskilling people to transition to other things, training and mentorship. We've seen more activity in mentorship at various levels. I will not commit to mentoring any more than 10 people at one time. And I do quite a bit of mentoring. There's different mentoring, but Mentoring should be a very rigorous process, very structured. If you and I are mentoring, you're my mentee. I want to make sure that we have goals and objectives. What are your expected outcome in this relationship? How often do we meet? Are there things that I want you to do to achieve the goals and objectives that we agreed on? By the end of the journey, that mentorship should have realize those expected outcomes.
Yeah. Well, interesting. There's something I want to ask about that, and related to some other organizations, and then we'll get into the mentorship. We'll take a break. We'll be right back after we hear from our sponsors.
Blockframe Technology offers next-generation blockchain-managed trust and security. Unique non-fungible tokens are used to secure software bills of materials to provide data quality and security for every transaction in your supply chain. Deploy advanced peer-to-peer product security, scale zero trust capability to millions of IoT devices, allow vendor tracking and accountability, and rapidly reset from compromise. Unchangeable, time-sequenced blockchain data provides next-generation security using machine learning trust algorithms and audit analytics. Start securing your supply chain today by contacting Blockframe at www.blockframetech.com.
Welcome back to New Cyber Frontier. On today with Dr. Murray and Dr. Shawn Murray, and we're talking about the AIM program, which he defined the acronym right before the break. And you were talking about ISSA and its differs from other organizations. And one thing it sticks out with me, and I want you to, is this valid or not? ISSA is really focused on like the human relationship side. So I do a lot of work with IEEE, several organizations chair. We have overlap almost in every area of ISSA, but it's more from the technology perspective. Sure. The technologists, the publication, the research, the academia side of it, and even putting that in the business. But ISSA seems to be the focus on let's get people together for support of each other on an interpersonal level. Would you classify that as kind of a key focus? So
the idea behind ISSA from a global perspective is to be the industry leader for those who are practitioners or whatever discipline they are in information security, privacy, governance. There's so many different disciplines in our industry, and there's something for everyone that's out there. But the idea is to provide resources for our members at an international level and at the local chapter level so that you can get each one of those audiences. When I talk about Stu, he's my one guy who's an ISSA member who's highly technical. And, he's always looking for, I know governance and laws and stuff and policy are important, but my interest really focuses here. And so the idea is to find like-minded members to get together, maybe in a subcommittee or subgroup that meets and has discussions. And it all comes down to the volunteerism in the chapter level to address all of those various disciplines. Because if you are an engineer and you are a geek, I can tell you Stu is a member not only of ISSA's Colorado Springs chapter, he's a member of the DEFCON 719 local chapter, highly technical. He's also a member of one of the software engineering groups. So, you get more and more, you ingest more content and relationships in ecosystems. But I am hearing
networking, mentoring.
Absolutely.
Having a community to meet up with, knowing who's out there, helping you with the next job transition, who's hiring.
And that's specifically with the AIM program, yes.
Okay. Yeah. So now the AIM program will go. I just wanted to differentiate that because you had said, here's the difference. And I think that is the big difference where, ISC Squared is about certification and helping people follow that career
Get
path.
CPEs.
IEEE is about publication, research, industry, technology,
lots of collaboration there.
ISSA is the human connection, mentoring.
Right. Membership organization for our industry. Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect.
Yeah. So that's what, that's why we've been around for 40 years. And as challenges come about within our industry or within the ecosystem, it's our responsibility to listen to our members and listen to our chapters to determine what resources are out there. when we created the AIM program, we started getting with people like Katie Adams. She was on the show a couple of years ago. Katie Adams works for an organization called Software Partners directly for the Secretary of Labor. And what they did is they took a look at the age-old, over 100-year-old apprenticeship program in the United States. And they added and cultivated at the White House. We all went to the White House and created the cyber apprenticeship program. Mm-hmm. And that, again, apprenticeship, another one, this very rigorous, has structure. You need to have training, and then you need to have just like a blue collar, apprenticeship program, right? I want to be an electrician or a plumber. And so I need to have, I'm going to be apprentice, and I need to do, supervised work, and then I need training and education, and eventually I'm going to be a journeyman. Then eventually, if I want to be a master, I'm going to be a master. So we did that with the cyber industry as well. So Katie Adams, again, go back in our archives. I did an interview with her. She is one of the initial members on the AIM committee, because we need people that are in influential positions to provide us from the outside to make us relevant, right? Mm-hmm. So as we continue down the journey, we've gotten other organizations. We want partnerships with certification organizations. We want partnerships with those other, membership organizations as well. So ISE Square, CompTIA, IEEE. And the idea is, how can we work together? Because we're not competing. We're networking humanistic side. How can we promote each other, collaborate together on behalf of our members to get jobs, to get training, upskilling, or the mentorship piece of it? We see more need in the mentorship piece of it through all the participation we have on our committee than just about anything else. And so what we're doing now is highlighting what our chapters are doing around the globe. Right here in our own community, the Colorado Springs chapter of ISSA, they have a mentoring mixer. It's called it's like speed dating, but it's speed mentoring. You get 5 minutes, and then you move to the next person, you get 5 minutes, and there's like 100 people attend these things, right? So, and they make it fun. It's networking, it's collaborative. There's cocktails involved if you want to partake. If not, there's water and sodas and everything. But it's something to address. What is that niche? Maybe you are a Stu and you're highly technical and you want to find somebody to mentor you in that area. And now Stu's way up here and he's the mentor. He's not the mentee. I'm like, stop looking for somebody to mentor you. You need to be mentoring, these people that you're looking for to interact with, because you got a lot of tribal knowledge you need to share. Myself, I like, I'm the governance, risk, and compliance aspect of it. We need to make sure technology aligns with the things we want to accomplish, and that we're not going to get in trouble for it, or we don't have to redesign something because we didn't follow a process, a law, a directive that mandates that, right? So all of these are incorporated. The Polish chapter of ISSA, I was over, so the country of Poland asked me to come and present at their national cyber conference back in March. And I had an opportunity to go visit our Polish chapter and their board. And they gave me presentations on different things that they were doing. Lucas is in charge of the mentorship program, over at the Polish chapter. And his presentation was phenomenal. You've got to go through 40 hours of training as a mentor and go through a structured, rigid process to understand what your responsibility is interacting with somebody who's relying on you and trusting you.
So we're going to do an exercise here. We're going to do a mentoring session so you can see what this looks like. So we're going to take a break. We'll set up here.
Okay.
We're going to come back and we're going to hot seat somebody, and you're going to do a 5-minute or so mentoring session.
Sure.
Okay.
Let's do it.
All right. So we'll be right back after this break. You'll hear from us on New Cyber Frontier. We're right back.
Blockframe Technology offers next-generation blockchain-managed trust and security. Unique non-fungible tokens are used to secure software bills of materials to provide data quality and security for every transaction in your supply chain. Deploy advanced peer-to-peer product security, scale zero trust capability to millions of IoT devices, allow vendor tracking and accountability, and rapidly reset from compromise. Unchangeable, time-sequenced blockchain data provides next-generation security using machine learning trust algorithms and audit analytics. Start securing your supply chain today by contacting Blockframe at www.blockframetech.com.
Welcome back to the new Cyber Frontier. This is Dr. Shawn Murray. We're going to do a speed mentoring for the next 5 minutes. And we have a mentee. I'm going to be in the mentor role. And we have a mentee here, Max Gorog from Blockframe. How you doing today, Max?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you doing, Shawn?
I'm doing great. And so, when we talk about speed mentoring, it's just a moment in time to be able to say, hey, you're interested in some things in progressing in your career. Where do you see yourself 5 years from now, 10 years from now? And how do you think you're going to achieve that? And what are the resources that you may not be aware of that me, somebody who's experienced and been around, internationally, locally, all the different resources that I could possibly provide to you. And then there's tasks that we take away from each other. So as a mentee, think about who you are, what you do, what do you want to accomplish in the next 5 to 10 years?
So it's great you asked that, Shawn, because I've been working with my dad's company with Blockframe, people seeing online.
Very familiar with that company.
Right, yes. So I've been doing a lot of the software development and kind of looking at the data models for how we're going to accomplish the things that we need to accomplish with creating the cybersecurity for the new age. And essentially, on top of that, I've also been working with some of the media stuff. So we've been producing commercials, for instance, for the company as well. But in terms of like where I'd be looking to go in the next 5 to 10 years, I see so much going on in just the mathematics of machine learning and how we can make that more secure, how we can make that something that's dependable, like proof, mathematical proof, for instance.
Right.
Something people are so excited about. Just being able to do the things that we have with AI, but we're not actually thinking about how the consequences philosophically at the very bottom of what it means for us to be using the AI in its current state and for us to just adopt it as it is right now. It's kind of a scary thing that we're doing. We're not really thinking about how scary that is.
So what I'm hearing as a developer, as an engineer, and as a person, working in an organization for the last several years, you want to keep a skill set that keeps up with the evolution, the pervasiveness of the technology. And as an engineer, a software or systems engineer, there's a lot behind that, especially when you start talking about those things like AI. And so from a mentor's perspective, I would ask a few questions like, where are you currently doing research that you believe is credible to help along that journey to be able to evolve with the technology that you're developing?
Well, you said it, Shawn, and I think that's absolutely on track with kind of what I've been thinking about was the resources that I have currently available to me without just going through a college class and curriculum is mostly on like places like GitHub or GitLab that just have source code available, or books on Amazon that people have published for being able to just kind of get your hands dirty and really mess with these technologies directly. I think that people need to know that those things are available, and that whenever you look at, for instance, a math definition, it is exactly what it is written down, and it's nothing more or less than that. And you are capable of really understanding these things. And not only are you capable of understanding these things, but really it's required now, if you're going to use AI, that you understand what it is that it is doing. It's just, when it comes to GPT, for instance, general pre-trained transformers, it's just autocomplete on steroids. That's all it is. You know what I mean?
So so here's some of the things that I would ask you. So I have somebody who is a speed mentoring. I know that I'm not in your realm to the same level that you are, but in the evolution of where you want to get to, I know a person that loves to interact and mentor, specifically in the realm that you're at. He does reverse engineering. He's a software guru. And we've mentioned his name a couple times, Stu Gentry, who comes, he's spent his life, doing exactly what you're doing. And there's never enough, technology, rigor involved for what Stu is trying to achieve. And he loves sharing knowledge. So I would pair you up with Stu and make an introduction. And he may have access to additional resources. You talked about GitHub and some additional resources. I'm assuming you code in at least one or two, maybe three or more coding languages, maybe proficient in one or two. And so somebody like Stu is going to be able to help you out with navigating those resources I may not be familiar with. I know enough as a mentor who to pair you up with, not necessarily to help you directly in a mentorship. But speed mentoring allows me to understand what it is, and then based on my network, I know who to pair you up with.
Well, that's wonderful. So, yeah, that seems like something that would be perfect, making those conversations.
And we're actually going to do this. I'm going to talk to Stu. I'm going to tell him, hey, I've got a candidate for you to have a discussion with. And, Stu is very passionate about what he does. He's like me and your dad's age, and he still has the passion that me and your dad do. So it's going to be one of those that I'll actually do an introduction. I'll talk to him this Friday. If you're going to be down at the Cybersecurity First Friday, I'll do an introduction. If not, we can do an introduction, but I'll hit him up and let him know. And this is an example of speed mentoring.
Yeah, wonderful. It's great to be a part of this.
The segment,
demo,
and this was a real mentoring session that was speed mentoring, and this is, the ISSA Colorado Springs chapter does this, right? So you spend 5 minutes with me, and then 5 minutes with somebody else, and everybody gets up, and you are going to see who you want to interact with, who's doing things that are interesting that you may not have thought about, resources that you're like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to dive into that. And the whole idea is there's positive outcomes after that mentoring session. In that instance, it's a speed mentoring session to get access to other people's resources. When you establish a mentor-mentee relationship that's going to be a long-term, so a month or more, that's when you need to sit down, create some goals and objectives. What are the expected outcomes? Now, there are loosey-goosey or non-structured mentorship programs that, hey, we just check in, every few months, and hey, this is where I'm going. What do you think? Hey, here's some resources. Give this a shot. You can text me, and I'll respond back usually within 24 hours. There's not a lot of structure or rigor into that one. But those are ongoing relationships with people that you establish and maintain those relationships over the years. Sometimes even, people at my level, I need to bounce ideas off of people because I may be thinking at things from one opinion, and I need somebody else to advise me. And I have to do that at my level now because I'm not an expert at everything. And anybody says they're a cybersecurity expert, I go like, I don't use that term. I'm well versed in a lot of areas, but it's all about networking and increasing your network.
Yeah, no, sounds absolutely wonderful. Amazing to, again, be a part
Thanks
of this
for participating in our speed mentoring session.
No, awesome. So, I don't know what the transition looks like for the, looks like we're going to be ending the podcast here. So, it was absolutely wonderful to be on the podcast, talking with you, Shawn Murray. I think that it's been a wonderful journey to be a part of the podcast's production side of things for the longest time. And, honestly, what a wonderful mixture of just experts and minds just coming together to make the world a better place.
It just dawned on me. Is this the first time you've actually participated in one of our podcasts?
It is, yes.
So now everybody gets to see behind the scenes who's making all the magic happen in the production of all the New Cyber Frontier podcasts. Thanks for all of those years of contribution, Max.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And we have to give credit to the other editor as well.
Well, that's it for this edition of the New Cyber Frontier. We appreciate everybody attending.
We hope you have enjoyed this episode of New Cyber Frontier. Remember to get involved. Often we think that someone else will handle privacy and security in the virtual world, but you are the only one truly in command of your virtual fate. Join our mailing list so we can keep you informed of breaking news and new releases. If you have an idea, if you have a question that you would like to hear answered, or if you want to get involved with our efforts, reach out to us at newcyberfrontier.com. We also encourage you to visit our sponsors' links as they are the ones that really make this show possible. I want to thank each of you for supporting the show, and we look forward to seeing you back for the next episode of New Cyber Frontier.